Good morning. I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news
and the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
Vice President Sara Duterte breaks her silence on the impeachment complaint against her and rumored ties to predecessor Leni Robredo.
President Bongbong Marcos flags disturbing statistics that came out of his administration's review of flood control projects.
The Philippine Coast Guard provided details on the collision of two Chinese ships in Bajo de Masinloc.
Severe tropical storm Goryo has intensified into a typhoon, according to Pag-asa. The typhoon is not expected to directly impact the Philippines within the next 3 days.
First in the news, Vice President Sara Duterte breaks her silence on several matters, including the impeachment complaint and her rumored ties to predecessor Leni Robredo. Here's the report.
Amid criticism and the impeachment case filed by the House of Representatives against Vice President Sara Duterte, the alleged relationship with former VP Leni Robredo was brought up by former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV. Instead of confirming or denying the claim, here's what the Vice President had to say.
Dapat siguro si former President Leni Robredo ang maghatag og comment kay siya man ang kumbaga sa iyaha directed ang comment.
While she seemed to avoid the topic of her friendship with Robredo, VP Sara appeared more prepared to face the impeachment case, so long as it is brought to the proper forum.
Nagsabi kami noong nag-file sila ng articles of impeachment nila na ready ang defense team. Pero hindi pwede na moro-moro na kung saan lang nagbibigay ng akusasyon.
Recall that the Supreme Court declared the impeachment case against VP Sara unconstitutional. Because of this, the Senate has set aside a trial for now. According to the Vice President, this proves that the House of Representatives abused its power.
Kay irritating sila sa mataog sa dalungan. So dili ko nagatanaw sa ilahan.
While the Vice President is facing her own impeachment battle, her father, former President Rodrigo Duterte, is confronting a major challenge of his own at The Hague. The Vice President said questions should be directed to his lawyer, Attorney Nicholas Kaufman.
Siya yung pinili ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte na lawyer. So we only follow kung ano yung choice ng client.
Now, Senate President Chis Escudero has called out Senate Minority Leader Tito Sotto for expressing support for amending the 1987 Constitution if the Supreme Court upholds its ruling on Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment case. In a social media post, Escudero suggested that Sotto appeared to be siding with the House of Representatives, adding the hashtag, "The Senate is not your playground." Sotto later clarified that he would only support charter change if the Supreme Court rejects the impeachment case despite the House's appeal. He stressed that his loyalty remains firmly with the Constitution.
Now, to share insights regarding this issue and other matters, we are joined by former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV. Good morning, Sen, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Diego and Miss Angela.
Okay, Sen, ang daming issue, no? Pero magsimula tayo po sa nangyaring impeachment, yung pag-archive ng impeachment. Ano po ang take nyo sa decision ng Senado regarding this?
Ang bottom line dito, the impeachment case is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
So it boils down to the decision of the Supreme Court at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Ang difference kasi nung pag-archive at doon sa pag-table is pag naka-table, hindi na kailangan ng motion to bring it out again. Ang concern kasi nila Senate Minority Leader Sotto is pagka nag-archive kasi, pwede pa rin ma-overrule ng majority yon kung may motion to revive it or take it out of the archive. But I think pagka naman nag-reverse na yung Supreme Court, untenable na yung position ng mga anti-impeachment senators kasi sinabi nila they will follow the Supreme Court, they should follow the Supreme Court.
But the question there, Senator, let's say hypothetically, nag-reverse nga yung ruling ng Supreme Court. So what happens now there? Will the Senate, should the Senate follow yung Constitution that's saying forthwith, proceed na kaagad? O kailangan pa nila sundin yung, pagbotohan na i-open yung in-archive or retrieve yung in-archive na impeachment case?
It will have to go through that process kasi na-archive siya. So kailangan merong magmo-motion sa any senator to take it out of the archive para mabalik siya sa table. So that would require a majority of the senators. So ganun talaga yung proseso eh. Kahit na i-compel yung ng Supreme Court na forthwith mag-trial kayo, the senators will have to go through that process pa rin. Pero nakita ko naman, ano lang yon, procedural na yun at that point. Kasi hindi na sila pwede magmatigas doon dahil yun na may decision na yung Supreme Court.
Senator Trillanes, may mga iba-ibang kasi interpretation then regards sa tabling. Parang kay, I think it was retired Justice Ascuna was saying, mas okay na rin daw ang archive. Ang problema daw sa tabling of the motion is baka anytime may isang senador daw isipin na, teka lang, naka-table to, tatawag ako ng motion to dismiss. Kaysa pag naka-archive, hindi na pwede gawin yun.
Theoretically pwede yun, pero na-exhaust na nila yung debate doon eh. Kung nanaig yung pagte-table, ibig sabihin nun, yung argumento ng mga for archiving of the impeachment case, natalo na yon. So, ano naman yon? Magiging impertinente ka na tao ka ini-insist mo yon on every moment or every opportunity you get. So, palagay ko, hindi naman yun ang issue. Pero kung naka-table kasi yan, ilalabas na, mas madaling ilabas. Pero sabi ko man, ano lang ito parang procedural lang itong pinag-uusapan. Ang bottom line, everything now is in the hands of the Supreme Court.
Yes.
So, abangan natin
Speaking of the Supreme Court, Senator, historically, and sa iyong interpretasyon sa mga pangyayari, ano po ang tingin yung chances na either ma-overturn to or ma-uphold ang decision ng Supreme Court?
Historically, yung Supreme Court, nag-dig in yan sila doon sa kanilang previous decision. Except kung factual error ang basis ng kanilang earlier decision. Ngayon, ayaw naman nilang maging ganon kasi babasahin sila ng mga law students, mga lawyers, now and in the future. Ngayon, kung palpak yung naging decision nila based on a factual error, hindi naman kaya rin ng kanilang ego yon o pride nila yon. So, they may correct it. Pero ngayon, we're getting information na baka itong si Justice Leonen maghahanap ng ibang lusot. Ang nababalitaan kami na ang tinitignan niya is yung House daw ay hindi sinunod yung kanilang sariling internal rules. Pero ang problema nun, hindi kasi yun ang role ng Supreme Court. Sa kanila lang, ang role nila is kung hindi sinunod ng House of Representatives yung kanilang constitutional mandate.
That's right.
Yung 10 session days na referral at yung once a year na ban. Ito, yung internal rules ng House kasi, pwedeng wini-waive yan by the majority anytime. Tapos, ang nakalagay sa Constitution, yung House ang may diskarte. Hindi mo sila pwede pakialaman kung paano yung proseso nila. They can do away with the rules, they can suspend it. Pero bottom line, sinunod nila yung kanilang constitutional mandate.
Okay, so Senator, I was wondering if you were able to read the SC ruling, and do you also believe, like the other legal luminaries have said, that the ruling is based on factual errors?
Yes, nabasa po natin yan. In fact, nabasa natin yan even before nagkaroon ng ng promulgation nung that Friday before the SONA.
Right.
So, and doon pa lang kita natin, hindi nila kinonsider yung answer ng House of Representatives. And yun na nga ang point nun, kaya nyo sila hiningan ng mga detalye na gano'n para maging solid yung magiging desisyon nyo. Pero obviously, hindi ipinasok yun. Ang naging basis nila was the ABS-CBN article na kinorek pa.
Kinorek naman ng ABS-CBN. Nasabi nila walang plenary vote, pero in fact it said in their report that there's a plenary vote.
Yes. Oo.
Why do you think, Senator, dinisregard or not disregard, pero hindi tinignan ng Supreme Court ang sagot ng House? Well, kasi historically, they look at all angles, no? Especially with something this important. For example, yung explain ni Senator Tito Soto, yung interpretation ng CND adjournment versus a regular adjournment. Medyo critical din yon.
Yes. Marami, no? Maraming mga nakitang factual errors. Ngayon, yung motivation dito, ngayon, highly suspicious. Kaya nga, di ba, may mga iba't ibang mga sektor na nagsasabi na hindi House of Representatives ang nag-violate ng Constitution dito. Ngayon, itong Supreme Court ang nagba-violate ng kanilang constitutional mandate. Di ba? To just check yung mga nagba-violate ng Constitution. Sila yung nag-overreach dito. And they are committing actually an impeachable offense dito sa kung i-affirm nila yung decision nila.
I want to go back to what you said earlier, Senator. You said baka humanap ng palusot ang Supreme Court dahil nga if ever baka hindi sila mag-reverse ang kanilang ruling, and you had information na hahanap po sila ng dahilan nila to uphold their ruling.
Justice Linen.
Their ruling.
Yes. Yes.
Can we expound
ganun na
this
nga
information po?
yung ginagawa ngayon kasi they want this decision to be accepted by the legal community. Kasi mahirap na maggumawa sila ng Supreme Court decision na talagang isusuka ng legal community. At sabi ko nga, hindi lang ito ganyan. This is actually an impeachable offense. Yung magdagawa sila ng panibagong mga proseso na hindi nakasaad sa Constitution, violation yon. Ngayon, pwede silang ipatawag dito. Kaya mabigat itong gagawin nila. I think si Justice Leonen, naghahanap pa siya ng siguro, ng possible way para ma-justify yung earlier decision niya. Pero talagang factual error yung yung basis .
Okay.
Senator, when you spoke to, I think the other day, si retired Justice Carpio, sinasabi niya, very similar sa sinabi mo, pero parang ang sinabi niya kasi medyong glaring na ang error. Pag glaring kasi ang error, usually, ang ugali ng isang justice, pag hindi mo maipagtanggol ang sarili mo, may reverse the decision. Usually, yung non-reversal is pag merong defendable pa daw ang position. Ang tanong dito, Senator, he also mentioned, retired justice, the use of the ombudsman in case the Supreme Court upholds its decision, pwede daw dumaan sa ombudsman to either take a look at what they did or to take a look at VP Sara's case as well. Do you think option to in case na ma-hold yung decision ng Supreme Court?
Are you referring to making
officials
Sara Duterte accountable via the ombudsman?
Yes, and also also how to overall to use the ombudsman po to investigate the entire process.
Well, pwede siguro yan, pero remember, wala pa nga tayong ombudsman.
Correct.
Magko-convene pa lang yung JBC by September. So that may take several more months. Baka by then, ready to file the next one na tayo, which is February. At yun na nga yung pointlessness nitong exercise nito ni Justice Leonen. Kasi if the idea is to do everything to block this impeachment now, 6 months from now, pwede na ulit mag-refile. Kahit yung sinabi nilang proseso na kailangan mag-investigate sa Justice Committee, etc., gagawin niya ng House. A determined House of Representatives will still go through that process. At yun lang. So, uulitin, why prolong the agony? Lalo pang magkakos ng instability yan. Kung ginawa mo na ngayon, tapos gagawin mo ulit, so it's pointless. Tapos ini-expose pa nila yung sarili nila sa pagiging, baka ma-impeach din sila dito at iimbestigahan itong proseso na sinasabi niya. Kailan mo ginawa itong decision na ito? Kailan nyo i-distribute? Kailan nyo binasa? Kasi bagyo ito nung nangyari ito.
Yeah.
Walang pasok pero talagang pinilit para pumasok. Tapos imbis na mag-deliberate sila nung araw na yon, diretso na promulgation.
Tapos
talagang
weekend pa, Senator. Weekend of the SONA.
Highly suspicious. Oo. Yeah.
Alright, so before we move on to the next topic, Senator, I would like to ask also about your comment regarding this recent trade barbs po ng dalawa sa Senado po, ang inyo pong former colleagues, si Senator Jesus Escudero at saka si Senator Tito Sotto, when in fact po sinasabi ni Senator Tito Sotto na he's open to open nga pong usapin itong constitutional amendments dahil nga daw dito sa nangyaring recent ruling. And sinabi po ni Senator Jesus Escudero, kumbaga parang Senate is not your playground at parang pinapakita daw po na nagsaside si Senator Tito Sotto sa House of Representatives.
Alam nyo, yung ganyan na mga debate, exchanges na mga arguments, natural naman yan sa Senado. No? That's, in fact, that was how the institution was designed para sa mga ganyan. Pero, kailangan lang, yung ibang medyo hindi na dapat nandoon sa plenary dinidiscuss, pwede yan sa caucus dinidiscuss. Pero ngayon, parang medyo may mga pinaguhugutan sila, alam nyo, si Senator Sotto naman, he knows his parliamentary rules, kasi yan yung, I view him as the best parliamentarian in the Senate. Not only now, but even nung nandoon ako, kasi talagang ginamay niya yan yung rules. Si Senate President Jesus Escudero din naman, rin yan, intelihenteng tao yan at Senate President siya. So alam din niya yung limits niya. So tignan natin kung lalagpas sila dun sa mga limits na dinidefine nung rules of parliament. So interesting lang, but yun, I hope it stays that way.
Senator Trillanes, I want to also talk about yung another topic, yung recent na sinabi niyo po about I think it was Senator Bam Aquino, parang gusto niya sana i-defer yung pag-arrest dahil malapit ang eleksyon. I-delay yung pag-arrest dahil malapit ang eleksyon at sa pagiging malapit daw ni former VP Leni kay Vice President Sara Duterte, which was, according to Attorney Barry Gutierrez and Congresswoman Laila De Lima, medyong hindi daw totoo yun. Ano po ang komento nyo dito?
Alam nyo, wala naman sila doon, di ba? In fact, hindi naman dininay ni Senator Bam di ba? So, kung wala kayo doon, huwag kayong mag-abogado, di ba? Just get out of the way. Ngayon, ang konteksto naman dyan kasi is, I was asked kung sino ba ang magandang kandidato for president ng yung pink movement, sabihin na natin, sa 2028, kung pananagutin yung mga Duterte. Ang sabi ko, merong 3 kandidato ang pink, si Senator Bam, si VP Leni at si Senator Risa.
Yes.
Pero kung ang criterion ay pananagutin yung mga Duterte, I will have to rule out sina Senator Bam at sina VP Leni, hindi dahil sa hindi sila magagaling na public servants, magagaling sila, they will be good presidents under peaceful conditions. Pero kung ang batayan ay pananagutin yung mga Duterte, si Senator Risa yon kasi tumitindig siya. And besides kaibigan ni VP Leni si Sara Duterte.
Okay.
At sabi ko, pwede niyong i-google yan. Alam ko yan. No? Kaya nga wala siyang komentaryo about the impeachment ni Sara, even up to this point na kahit sinong Juan de la Cruz may opinion dyan,
That's
siya
right.
wala. So, yun na yun. I stated my case.
Buti malinaw yan, Senator. Pero yung kay Senator Bam, ano po yung konteksto dyan? Ba't tumawag po siya sa inyo at tinatanong kung paano ipa-delay yung pag-aresto dahil sa eleksyon?
Hindi naman. Meeting ito Meeting namin ng mga oposisyon. Concerned siya na baka maka-apekto daw sa kanila. Sabi ko, unang-una, wala akong kapangyarihan para pigilan yan. Pangalawa, mas ikabubuti nyo pa yan. And in the end, di ba, mas kinabuti nga nila. So, yun lang naman yung episode na yun.
Okay.
Sabi ko, might as well ask him kung totoo nangyari yan o hindi. Yun kasi, may mga, ang ginagawa, may tagapagtanggol Ano ba to? Hindi ba nila, wala ba silang boses? Di ba? Yung iba nag-overreact. Relax lang kayo, hindi naman madi-divide yung pink movement. Kasi itong pagpili ngayon, kung sino bang pinakamagaling na kandidato, ngayon lang yan. Pero pag nakapili na, kung si Senator Risa yan, hindi naman tatakbo pa rin sina VP Leni
Yeah.
So lahat yun magsusolidify. Yun lang po yan.
So far po, as of this time, former Senator, ang inyo pong nakikita, maraming porsyento na inyo pong susuportahan ay si Senator Risa Hontiveros if ever siya po ay kumandidato sa 2028 elections. Tama po ba?
Yes, especially ngayon na nagpipilian. Ako, tinutulak ko po si Senator Risa because anya na nakikita natin on full display kung paano siya manindigan, paano niya ipaglaban yung mga naaapi, kung anong champion siya ng good governance. Maliwanag ang pagpipilian. Kaya nga sabi ko, I will do everything I can to influence yung mga iba't ibang taga-pink movement na suportahan na si Senator Risa kasi ito na imbis na mag-aantay tayo ulit kung kailan mag-decide si VP Leni, kung ano ba, magsasabak sa national. Pero I won't even wait for that. In fact, sinasabi ko nga, ang kalaban ngayon ay yung mga Duterte. So kung sino yung makakapagpigil sa pagbalik sa pwesto ng mga Duterte, yun ang dapat natin. Hindi pwede yun kasi kaibigan nila Kaibigan nila. So I'm out, Kako.
Right. But what do you have to say to those people who are accusing you for alleging na gumagawa lang po kayo ng issue dito? If you really like Senator Risa Hontiveros, just push for her, pero wag na daw po kayo gumawa ng issue regarding the friendship of Mayor Leni Robredo and Vice President Sara Duterte.
Kagaya nga po nung nasabi ko kanina, Miss Angela, natanong po ako ng media. Tinanong po ako din nung sa vlog ni Christian Esguerra.
Right.
And I responded. Ganun naman po yun. Hindi naman paninira. In fact, yung sinabi ko ngayon sa inyo, hindi naman yun paninira. I'm just relating or stating a fact na magkaibigan sila ni Sara Duterte. Pwede pong i-google yan. Meron pong mga video dyan. Sila pong mismo ang nag-aano. At recently, itong hinost ni VP Leni si Sara sa bahay niya. Di ba? You don't do that kung kalaban mo yun. Tapos ngayon, hanggang ngayon, wala pang komentaryo si VP Leni dun sa impeachment ni Sara. So, ito yung mga pruweba ko para patunayan na magkaibigan nga sila. So hindi ito paninira,
Right.
hindi rin ito pagdi-divide kasi nga sabi ko, pagka tumakbo si Senator Risa, hindi na tatakbo yan sila BP Leni at sila Bam. Magsusuportahan yan. So, andito tayo sa proseso ng pilian. Mag-ano tayo, i-compare natin kung sino yung pinakamagaling. Ando doon po yun.
So, okay, just to expand lang po your answer, Senator, may nakita din po kasi ako dito na article from another newspaper 10 years ago stating what you've mentioned, yung Leni and Sara Duterte friendship beyond politics. So, aside from this and other videos that you said available on social media or Google, meron pa po ba tayong pagbabasihan ng ating sinasabi, yung deeper friendship ng dalawa?
Ito nga, yung last year, si Nightco, di ba? Hinost niya doon sa bahay nila. Yun. Pangalawa, itong hindi niya pagkomentaryo dito sa impeachment case. Kasi nga naman dito, 'di ba, kaibigan mo bakit mo didiinan? Iyan 'yun. Ano pa bang pruwebang kailangan po natin? At diyan mismo sa article na 'yan, do sa video na 'yon, maliwanag, 'di ba? So sabi ko, hindi naman natin that doesn't make her a bad person by being friends to Sara Duterte, pero teka muna, sa akin it's a red line. Hindi ka pwedeng ngayon na hindi ka pwedeng itutulak ko na kandidato ng pagkapangulo kung kaibigan mo itong mga nagsisira ng ating bansa.
Yes.
Yun.
Okay.
Senator, on another note, of course, nandito kayo and I have to ask you about the ICC kasi last time we talked and we also talked to Attorney Conti, ang sinasabing timeline aside from yung September na yung presentation kay Pangulong Duterte, former President, we also have yung supposedly na malapit na daw si Senator Bato with regards sa warrant of arrest. Ano po ang balita nyo?
Base po sa mga impormasyon na kakalap natin, ano pa yan? Mga ilang buwan pa. Ang earliest siguro would be late this year or baka umabot first quarter of next year. Yun yung nakakalap nating balita para sa 2 o 3 pang mai-issuehan ng warrant.
And sino po yung possible na 2 or 3 pang tinitingnan natin?
Ang nakikita ko sa ngayon or nababalitaan ko is si Bato at si Bongo.
Nabanggit din po kasi Senator I think si former Chief General Albayalde.
Probably, pero kaya nga 2 or 3. Hindi ko lang mas ma-pinpoint pa kung sino yung pangatlo.
Okay.
Alright, taking this opportunity na rin, Senator, to ask you regarding the flood control projects issue. Kahapon po nagkaroon ng press conference si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos at nireveal niya po doon yung ibang mga initial review po nila doon sa mga flood control projects in his administration, at nakita nga po natin bilyon-bilyon yung mga ginagastos pero napupunta lamang sa mga piling mga contractors at yun nga po substandard or minsan wala pa talaga yung mga flood control projects na yon. What do you have to say to that, and do you also think that ito na nga talaga daw yung sinasabi nila ang era natin of truth, transparency and accountability? Do you believe that, Senator?
Well, itong pagpresenta nitong mga contractors na ito, this is a huge step. Kasi dati ilang taon nang nangyayari ang mga yan, pero this is the first time. And coming from a sitting president, malaking bagay yan. It's a signal sa buong bureaucracy na tapos na yung mga ganyang panahon. Kaya ngayon, kung ikaw kontratista ka at nag-iisip ka ng ghost project, tapos ikaw congressman o senador, nalalagay kayo sa alanganin dyan. At tama lang, kasi alam nyo, sayang yung pondo ng gobyerno. Trillions na yung nabubulsa rito, at kung ano-ano, kung ilan lang silang nakikinabang nito instead na yung mga kababayan nating nangangailangan.
And lastly po, Senator, during your time as a senator, did you also encounter some of these problems, yung mga allegations about mga
Contractors.
Contractors na to. Can you also share it with us? Just like Mayor Magalong na sinasabi niya po may talagang scheme na nangyayari sa loob sa pag-aayos ng budget natin.
Nung panahon ko kasi, kadalasan, naman ako zero budget ako, no? Especially nung panahon ni Duterte. So, wala naman ako na-encounter na ganyan. Tapos doon naman sa panahon ni President Aquino, nilagay ko sa mga ospital, barracks, mga eskwelahan, lahat ng aking budget. At kaya nga, nung kinalkalya nila Duterte, wala naman silang nakitang anomalous. So siguro alam ng mga kontratista na they cannot deal with me along those lines. Kaya hindi na sila nila siguro sinubukan.
Alright, with that, muli maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV. Thank you so much.
Maraming salamat po sa inyo.
Medyo mabigat yun, yung kay Justice Leonendo na naghahanap ng paraan na i-uphold yung decision.
Exercise.
May information na sa Supreme Court might uphold its ruling, and Justice Leonendo is looking for a way to do it. That's according to former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV.
All right, we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. President Bongbong Marcos has unveiled the initial findings from his administration's review of flood control projects. Here's a report.
2 weeks after President Bongbong Marcos ordered a probe into the country's flood control projects, he now has the initial findings, and they raise serious questions. In 2022, the government allocated 545 billion pesos for more than 9,000 flood control projects nationwide. However, more than 6,000 of those projects, worth 350 billion pesos, lack clear records.
I don't know about you, but that is a very big number. That is an enormous number.
Some documents even show identical designs, costs, and contractors built in different locations.
Imposible yan. It is impossible for one barangay, even if they are the next barangay, to have the exact same project to the exact same amount with the exact same contractor.
The president also revealed that 100 billion pesos, or 20% of the entire budget, went to just 15 contractors. 5 of them have projects spanning Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao.
Let's be circumspect about pointing fingers and shouting at people. Tignan natin na mabuti. There are not assessments. We are not accusing anyone of anything yet.
To boost transparency, he launched a website where citizens can track and report questionable flood control projects.
We have to clean our ranks. This is, it might be a little painful. Baka masarkot dyan yung mga tao na malapit sa atin. Ngunit kahit malapit sila sa atin, mas malapit naman siguro sa puso natin yung taong bayan. Ang lalapitan na ngayon ninyo, ako mismo. Dahil akong titingin dito araw-araw sa website natin at babasahin ko.
Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong revealed that several congressmen are connected to contractors named by President Bongbong Marcos. On 1PHS sa Totoo Lang, Magalong said these contractors lend their licenses to facilitate corrupt practices in flood control projects, with about 67 congressmen allegedly benefiting from the scheme. He also accused officials from the Department of Public Works and Highways of involvement. Meanwhile, Metro Manila mayors are urging faster and more effective flood control measures in response to the recent severe flooding. Valenzuela Mayor Wes Gatchalian pointed out the limitations local governments face due to slow bidding processes, praising private sector's groups like San Miguel Corporation led by Ramon Ang for stepping in with immediate support. Muntinlupa Mayor Rufy Biazon stressed the need for updated drainage systems and a comprehensive master plan to address Metro Manila's flooding problems. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno expressed frustration over poor coordination with the DPWH, noting that several projects funded by the national government remain unused because local officials were not consulted.
Now, the House of Representatives is calling for a thorough investigation into flood control projects flagged by the President, emphasizing that any officials or their relatives involved must be held accountable. Mobile journalist Arles de los Santos reports.
In a rare press conference, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. presented to the media that 6,021 out of 9,855 flood control projects of the government do not specify the exact type of structures built, repaired, nor rehabilitated. Since 2022, that amounts to 350 billion pesos in spending. The House of Representatives is quick to react, highlighting the importance of a thorough investigation on the matter and hold accountable, especially public officials or their relatives who are alleged to be manipulating the flood control works.
Gusto namin na magtuloy-tuloy ito. Pero higit doon sa investigasyon, dapat may mapanagot. Alam nyo, kaliwat kanan na lumilipat yung sinasabing may mga congressman daw na sangkot dito sa flood control projects. Sa mga nagsasabi nun, nais namin na malaman sino ba talaga itong mga congressman na ito.
Meanwhile, Kabataan Party List Representative Rene Co and ACT Teachers Representative Antonio Tino claim that the President releasing the list of contractors of government's flood control projects is insufficient.
Ano naman yung magagawa ng paglista ng mga flood control project contractors kung hindi may investigahan thoroughly, no, kung paano yung presence nila across the regions have caused widespread flooding.
Napakalaki ng pondong ginastos na para sa flood control pero lumalala pa nga yung baha. So, definitely, malalim ang corruption dyan. Kailangan may mapanagot.
In a different issue, Representative Terry Ridon, chairperson of Committee on Public Accounts, confirmed the House of Representatives' prospect on refiling Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment case under the same grounds in February 2026 if the Supreme Court upholds its initial decision. While House Minority Leader Marcelino Libanan stated in his privileged speech that the Supreme Court's decision to declare VP Sara's impeachment unconstitutional is a judicial amendment of the Constitution.
Identifying the biggest contractors of the billion pesos worth of flood control projects of the government is a step closer towards accountability. The big question now is whether anyone will be held responsible once collusion or abuse of power is proven. Mobile Journal Arles de los Santos. We are One News.
Wow, okay.
Yung madami kasi nagsasabi with regards sa parang nag-heads up ang Pangulo with regards sa contractor pero wala pang name attached. Baka kasi naglinis, baka mag-clean up ranks bigla yung mag-ayos ng mga books. Yung mga contractors, hindi.
Yung mga contractors, he named it.
No,
There
yun ang problema nga, without naming the congressman, baka mag-detach daw, maglinis ng mga books, tanggalin. Kunyari, may si congressman nasa loob ng libro ng contractor, tanggalin bigla. Kasi napangalan...
But sa initial, sa initial findings niya yesterday, nilabas niya yung 15 contractors.
Oo nga, what I'm saying is, sana hindi mo niya daw linabas, sabi ni iba. Sana he kept it silent and secret para hindi alam kung sino yung babanggitin. Pag ibinanggit niya, banggitin na rin daw ng Pangulo sino yung mga congressman attached to it. Because ang sinasabi ko, yung libro ng contractors, baka linisin nila, tanggalin nila yung name ng congressman. Yan ang sinasabi ng iba. Sana secret muna. Tapos pag kumpleto na ang listahan ko at verified na, ilalabas ko, bulaga kayong lahat.
Yun na nga, no? Pero yun nga sinasabi nila kasi 15 contractors na nakita nila na nakapag-bag ng mga flood control projects in our country, no?
Yes,
Billions of pesos yung pinag-uusapan natin dito, and some areas na nabanggit ni President Bongbong Marcos ay kaparehas ng project na yon, ano? Sabi, hindi naman po pwede na kahit magkalapit kayo na barangay, pares kayong 150 million kuno yung gagastusin, pares kayo nang gagawin, etc. So sabi niya gano'n, parang very, din.
Actually, I understand it kasi, for example, sa Quezon City, kunyari, if hypothetically, meron kayong barangay Matandang Balara, which is low-lying area na malapit-lapit ito sa Marikina. Tapos titignan mo yung Barangay Batasan Hills, di ba? Medyo mas mataas na yun sa Marikina. So kung magkakaroon kayo ng flood control project, magkaiba because iba ang terrain nyo. Tapos same contractor, same price.
Same money.
Di ba? So I understand what the President is saying na that is impossible. More than 2 yan. More than 2 projects, di ba? Na magkapareho ng price, magkapareho ng contractor.
So they're also looking at, yun nga yung kanina pinag-uusapan natin na 15 contractors and isa doon sa top contractors na yon ay nalilinked of course kay ako Bicol Representative Zaldico.
Yes,
And we all remembered who Representative Zaldico during the 2025 national budget, 'di ba siya nga yung inalis doon sa committee na yon dahil nga naging controversial. At sabi nila most corrupt budget in the Philippine history ang 2025.
Sabi pa
they're
ni
saying
'di ba?
kasi
Amy Marcos, Senator Amy Marcos din 'yon.
Oo, kasi they're saying kasi he co-founded yung one of the contractors sa listahan na yon. Pero although nag-divest na siya noong 2028 if I'm not mistaken. I was looking at this article. Pero may ibang nagsasabi na he's...
Kailan siya nag-divest?
2018.
2018.
Oo, 2023 rather.
Okay.
Pero yun nga, pero sinasabi nila na ano pa rin siya. May mga nagsasabi na kumbaga may hand pa rin siya sa decision. He's very much involved allegedly along with his family doon sa sinasabing contractor company na yan. And
Pero,
also yung isa yung Diskaya. And we all know naman who Sara Diskaya is. Siya yung 'di ba? Siya yung kumalaban sa Pasig kay Mayor Vico Soto. And yun nga sinasabi ni Mayor Vico Soto yesterday, naglabas din siya ng statement na pananagutin, 'di ba? Titignan nila magkakaroon ng investigation doon sa mga anomalous projects na nakikita nila within their area, 'di ba, which is in Pasig.
Kaya nga sabi nila we have to find a different way of approaching this. Yung for example, 'di ba, you're an owner of a corporation tapos magiging congressman ka. Divesting is not enough. Alam naman natin lahat na anyone who owns a corporation, big or small, if you divest your shares and ikaw nag-set up ng corporation na 'yon, divesting the shares is walang kwenta. It's because yung ibang shares na inassign mo, pwede kami underlying agreement na may control ka over the company.
Tsaka yung isa pang sinasabi ni Senator Panfilo Lacson na aside pa dun sa mga binubulgar ni Mayor Magalong na grand scheme, 'di ba, of corruption dyan sa mga flood control projects na yan, ay yung sinasabi niyang passing through. 'Di ba? Na kung halimbawa ikaw daw ay contractor, tapos magtatayo ka dun sa isang district na 'yon na merong congressman, tapos yung congressman na yun may connect sa ibang mga contractors, babayaran mo muna siya ng 5 to 6 na fee, dahil gagawa ka dun sa lugar nila. In essence, talaga nababawasan na yung mismong project. Kumbaga sa 100 pesos, sabi mo na 100 pesos, natitira dun sa flood control project, magiging 20 pesos o 10 pesos na lang.
Uminit ang ulo mo. Mamaya natin pag-usapan to.
Di ba kasi ganun man talaga yung nangyayari.
Magagap na tayo pero shame on us. Ngayon lang natin pinag-usapan to. 2 dekada more than na nangyayari ito. Ngayon lang nagpag-usapan dahil kung di pa bumaha, hindi pa pinag-usapan.
Problema kasi dun sa ibang mga allegedly na supposedly in the future na nakakita natin kasabot dito ay kumbaga parang tawag dito, imbis na ayusin nila yung trabaho nila, ang tawag dun kinokorrupt nila. Kahit man lang konti na lang yung kunin mo para medyo may project pa rin, hindi.
Direk ko ayaw mag-time out.
Moderate your
Sabi ko time out muna, mamaya ituloy. Direk ayaw. Don't go away, we're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News.
Now in weather, Goryo has intensified into a typhoon as it moves westward over the Philippine Sea. Its center was last spotted 745 kilometers east of Itbayat, Batanes. Currently, no tropical cyclone wind signals have been raised, and the typhoon is not expected to directly impact the Philippines within the next 3 days. However, if Goryo shifts further south, tropical cyclone wind signals may be issued for extreme northern Luzon. Pag-asa said Goryo is expected to exit the Philippine area of responsibility by Wednesday evening. Meanwhile, the southwest monsoon is affecting the western sections of southern Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Areas such as Mimaropa, Western Visayas, Negros Island region, and Zamboanga Peninsula can expect cloudy skies with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms. Metro Manila and other parts of the country will experience partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms caused by localized weather activity.
President Bongbong Marcos said Philippine assets will never back down following a recent incident where Chinese vessels fired water cannons at Philippine ships in the West Philippine Sea. Here's the report.
This is the exact footage of the collision between Chinese Navy warship 164 and a Chinese Coast Guard vessel that was pursuing the Philippine Coast Guard ship BRP Suluan on Monday morning. The incident occurred during the PCG's Kadiwa mission, delivering aid to Filipino fishermen about 10 nautical miles east of Scarborough Shoal. The PCG offered assistance to the Chinese vessels in case anyone was injured.
We have medical personnel on board. Should you need any assistance, we are willing to provide assistance. Over.
According to the PCG, the collision was a miscalculation.
China's Coast Guard vessel 3104 increased its speed together with BRP Suluan, and when the PLA Navy decided to have a sharp turn, that was already too late for him.
Meanwhile, another Chinese ship deployed water cannons against the BFAR vessels BRP Datu Sumkad and BRP Datu Bangkaya, which were conducting maritime patrols 16 nautical miles from Scarborough. The chase lasted several minutes. President Bongbong Marcos emphasized that the Philippines will not back down or be intimidated.
Sinong Pinoy na gusto magkagera? Sino? Kahit maganap ka para sa akin, kahit isa. Kahit yung sundalo, kahit yung Coast Guard, ayaw nila ng gulo. So, no. But at the same time, we have a duty to perform, and that is to defend the country. So, no, we never back down.
In a statement, China called the Philippine ships entering Scarborough an innovation, despite the area being within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. They said their actions to pursue and block the Philippine vessels were lawful, professional, and followed proper procedures to enforce their sovereignty over the waters.
Two major transport groups are asking for a 1 peso provisional increase in jeepney fares. Pasag Mazda and Autodap said the fare hike is needed as fuel prices continue to increase. LTFRB Chairman Teofilo Guadis III confirmed receiving the petition, which will undergo review. If approved, the minimum fare will go up from 13 pesos to 14 pesos. For now, they are preparing fuel subsidy vouchers once world crude prices hit $80 per barrel, well above the current $66 level.
Mabigat na po yung 4 pesos 50 centavos. Spare parts, tumaas, lahat po ay nagtaasa na. Nagdaan po ang bagyo, ilang linggo wala hong pasada.
Kung sakaling magiging stable po yung diesel natin, handa po kaming ibaba ito kahit anong oras.
Well, despite the warnings of penalties, many motorists still fail to register their vehicles on time. Authorities remind the public there's a simple way to check if your registration is about to expire. Para bigyan ng mukha ang Balita Mobile Journal, Evan Tarinque.
Sa dami ng mga sasakyan naglalabasan, mula sa malalaking van hanggang sa maliliit na motorsiklo, isang bagay hindi dapat makaligtaan ng mga driver, ang pagpaparehistro ng sasakyan. Pero parang nakalimutan na ito ng nakararami.
Puno ng sasakyan, kaliwat kanan ng mga motor, karaniwang eksena sa iba't ibang kalsada ng bansa. Pero noong Hulyo, mahigit 20,000 motor vehicles ang nahuli ng Land Transportation Office o LTO dahil paso ang kanilang rehistro. Mahigit 12,000 rito ang motorsiklo, nasa halos 4,000 naman ang mga tricycle, 1,800 ang mga van at halos 900 na pribadong kotse. Pero babala ng LTO, hindi lang penalty para sa late registration ang kakaharapin. May dagdag 10,000 pesos na multa rin kung mahuhuli sa public roads. Ang ilang motoristang nakausap natin, sa ORCR daw sinisilip kung kailan may expire ang rehistro nila.
Hindi ko kinakalimutan yung yung petsa ng pagkarehistro ko para iwas din sa abala kasi pag nahuli ka, alam mo naman yung penalty, medyo malaki
Pero may mas madali raw na paraan. Nasa numero yan ang iyong plaka.
For example, meron tayong plate number NCG 9199. So it means hanapin niyo po yung last digit So lalabas po siya September. Now, yung second to the last digit po, yun yung weekly basic schedule po.
Ang huling digit ng plate number ang nagtatakda ng buwan ng registration. Halimbawa, kung 1 ang dulo ng plaka, Enero ka dapat magparehistro. 2 kung Pebrero, and so on and so forth. Ang gitnang digit naman ang nagsasabi ng linggo ng registration. Ang mga impormasyong ito, parte ng theoretical driving course sa mga driving school. Hindi lang para sa pagmamaneho ng ligtas, kundi para rin sa pag-iwas sa mga violation.
Paalala mga paps, bago kayo marangkada sa kalsada, tignan muna ang plaka para ang biyahe hindi maiuwi sa pag-abot ng lisensya. Popal Juno Ibantaringki po, hatid ang mukha ng balita.
Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Attorney Claire Castro questioned the backlash against comedian Vice Ganda after a joke made during a recent concert. The criticism came mostly from supporters of former President Rodrigo Duterte who found the humor offensive. Vice Ganda's joke referenced Duterte's earlier comment about using a jet ski to navigate the West Philippine Sea. Castro suggested that the comedian's remarks were not personal attacks, but rather a reflection of statements made by Duterte himself.
Parang lumalabas ito, bastos. Si Vice Ganda. Teka lang. Sino ba ang bastos? Sino ba yung palamura? Sino ang bumastos sa mga Pilipino?
In other news, a 22-year-old runner overcomes a rare disorder to return to racing and inspire others. Mobile journalist Denise Valdesancho has the report.
A 22-year-old runner is proving that a rare disorder won't stop her from reaching the finish line. After years of unexplained symptoms, Joanne was finally diagnosed with hyperexcitability syndrome that began as a tingling sensation in her legs.
So hindi ko po siya masyadong pinansin that time. And hanggang parang lumalala na po siya, parang yung hita ko po, umaalo na siya sa sobrang galaw po ng mga nerves po sa legs. Hanggang sa parang contradicting na po yung movement niya. Parang nanigas na po yung legs ko. Nahirapan na po ako na i-bend po siya.
The attacks, triggered by stress or extreme temperature, lasted for hours and left her in pain and struggling to breathe.
Sobrang nakakalungkot kasi hindi ko na po magawa yung mga nagagawa ko po before. 2 years po before ako ma-diagnose.
After her diagnosis, Joanne was prescribed medication to help manage her symptoms, allowing her to gradually return to running. According to an expert, patients with hyperexcitability syndrome need to recognize and avoid their triggers to help control symptoms.
Avoid the stressors. Kung ano nagtitrigger. You have to identify ano mga factors ang nagtitrigger. Then you have to avoid the triggers. Like noise, stress, certain foods.
Slowly, Joanne returned to her passion for running. Just this year, she completed her first 10-kilometer run.
Nung mga times po na pakiramdam ko, na-limit po ako nung condition ko, nawalan po ako ng tiwala sa sarili. Si running po, siya po yung parang naging outlet ko or parang naging therapy ko po during that time.
For Joanne, every stride is a triumph.
Parang I can do so much better than I thought. And mas natutunan ko po na i-celebrate yung small wins po.
Mobile journalist Denise Valdesancho. We are One News.
Ayan, good story. See, parang never give up. Dami dyan kasi na gusto na sumuko. Kung kaya naman, kaya, di ba?
What's your excuse?
If it's not doing the thing you love, do something else that's similar to the thing you love. And sa mga pinag-uusapan dyan, billion-billion na kinukurakot, shame on you. Di ba? Shame on all of you. Dahil hanggang ngayon, we're talking about this. 20 years ago, nung bata ako, binabasa ko ang dyaryo na binabasa ng mami at daddy ko. Corruption ang pinag-uusapan. Hanggang ngayon, we haven't solved corruption yet. Hanggang ngayon, binabaha pa rin. Pinag-uusapan kung paano ayusin ang baha. Hey, nako, kayo. Kaya because of that, I have to try and itong quote na ibibigay ko sa inyo, I have to try and live with this quote. And the quote goes, "Forgiveness is not an occasional act. It is a constant attitude." A quote from no less than Martin Luther King Jr.
Pag humingi ng tawad. Pag hindi.
Hindi. Sinasabi niya, it's a constant act. So whether humingi ng tawad o hindi, patawarin mo na. Huwag mo na hintayin nung...
Humingi ka muna ng tawad.
So parang sinabi mo...
Overtime na tayo.
Hindi. Teka lang. Parang sinabi mo ang Diyos, di ba? Kaya hingi tayo ng tawad.
Huwag mo isama ang Diyos.
Di ba sabi nga nila, hindi ka pa nga humingi ng tawad sa Diyos, pinatawad ka na niya. Gusto lang niya marinig na na-recognize mo may mali ka. So if God can do that, anyone should try to do that. Napakasimpleng ano. Oh, if ayaw mo.
Okay, go. 11.
Go. That wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.